Hi guys, welcome back to Brain Frog. Long time no see. I'm Maf.
I'm Gabby.
And it's the summer. But what an apt time to come back, because we started the pod last, August?
Yeah, July. I
July.
think it might be a full year since we started the pod.
Oh my god. Okay, so fitting that we're back now. We went through some stuff in the winter and spring. We were figuring some stuff out, living some life, falling off the radar, and now we're back. We've got a full house here. Yeah. Marvel. We got a full house and a full list of topics, and I guess we're gonna dive in with what we learned this week.
Yeah.
But I guess it could also be like what you learned since we were gone or whatever. Yeah. Okay, also I'm gonna put in my disclaimer now that I can't hear shit out of my right ear, so I don't know why. So if I talk really loud or something, tell me to quiet down, because sometimes I feel like I'm yelling, like I feel like I'm screaming because I can't tell how loud I am.
No, I think you're good. You've been talking at a normal level.
Okay, amazing. It's also bodes well that my normal level is like always almost screaming. So
Yeah.
What did you learn, Gabs? Do you know?
I would say I learned like prioritizing your relationships and friendships. Make sure you spend time with the people that you love and care about, and not like only focusing on work or other things that distract you. I feel like I had a few very busy months, but it's been nice to just like quiet down, hang out with the people I love and care about, and go on extra dates. And so I would say like it's nice to actually take a step back and realize, oh right, I should be prioritizing these relationships. Not that I wasn't before, but I feel like in the winter it's really hard. You get kind of like bogged down by like the weather. And when it's nice outside, you can like go on walks and go out for dinner, and so I would say that.
That's true. You also, I feel like that's very in line with what you were trying to manifest in your little bay leaf, like earlier this year. You had like balance. Yeah, I feel like you're getting that a lot more. And I agree. The literal second the sun hits out, like, what mood disorder? You know what I mean?
Changed
like,
person
is wrong with me.
Literally, I'm so fine.
The healthiest I've ever been when the sun comes out. Totally agreed. Also the way Gus was like hanging on to you is killing me.
Sorry, one second.
No worries.
I think one mic is way quieter than the other.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
What did I learn? I honestly, like, I feel like I talk about this all the time, but I think it's just because it's been like I've been working towards it more and more throughout these last few years, and it's been very top of mind of like, I think I've just learned to just like go for things, like try to be a little braver, like try to be a little bit more like, I don't know, like self-assured.
Yeah.
And even in literally like when we were in Tim Hortons, like we were at Tim's like waiting for whatever our food, and I literally like don't even like going up and saying anything or talking, but I was like, it's never gonna come, like just go ask for the fucking thing and it's gonna be fine. And then it totally is. I don't know why, like I feel like people don't necessarily like see me as a shy person, and I don't necessarily like always feel like I'm a shy person, but I do think I have a lot of like hesitations around really like arbitrary shit that I'm like literally nobody cares. And so, and like big and small, but I think just like in the last few months I've really like forced myself to, in the moment, just be like, oh my god, just go for it. Like whether it's been like talking to somebody or like going after something, or like even in New York, like when I was in New York for a little while, I feel like there were so many moments where I was like, oh my god, just like ask for the direction or ask for the thing, or like something was wrong and I wanted to get it fixed, or like food wasn't coming and I was like, oh whoa, okay, sorry, this is such a random little story, but we're like at a restaurant, like our food was taking like an hour to come, and I was like, you know, hey, like our food's taking a while, could we just get some like free bread for the table or whatever? And like when's it coming, and you know, like, could we hurry it up, kind of. Like, not in a rude way obviously, but like shit that like I don't usually say something like that, and I usually like don't want to like disrupt the peace or whatever, but it's literally not disrupting the peace. Like, my food isn't here, like I'm like chewing on air, like give me some bread. And then all my friends at the table were like, whoa. And I was like, honestly, I think we're all just kind of conditioned to like
sit back and take it.
And not everybody is that way, obviously, but I do feel like more and more in the last like year or so, especially, I've been like, man, just go for it. Like, be a little braver, be a little bolder, you know, not reckless necessarily, but like just a little, put yourself out there a little bit more. Yeah. And there's no harm in asking, and there's no harm in trying. And if you're a little embarrassed, who gives a fuck? Sort of, you know. I'm just trying to move past that.
Yeah, I think that's a great lesson.
Yeah, I think so too. It's kind of harder when you're younger, but I think when you get older, you're also just sort of like, I like, people just respect you a little bit more. I think they take you a little bit more seriously. You know, I feel like I don't really look as much like a kid as I used to. Yeah, I don't carry myself as much like a kid like I used to. So I don't know. It just felt like it was time for like the actions to like catch up to the age. I don't even know. Yeah. True. I think Gus likes the texture of the skirt, like that it's like silky, because he keeps going like this. He keeps like opening his paw and just grazing my thigh. I like the texture too. It's satiny. Okay, and I guess to start, we'll start with the most like relevant thing, maybe for like the timeline that we're in, which is Queer Ultimatum. If you haven't watched, go watch like a YouTube highlight reel of it, like right now.
It'll tell you everything you need to know.
It'll show you the whole show, basically. I don't know why entire Netflix shows aren't just like highlight reels, but who
needs to watch the whole thing?
I want to know like who your favorite person was and who your least favorite person was. And I feel like I know.
I'm trying to remember the cast now. I think my favorite was Mal.
Yeah. Mal is so hot. Yeah.
And I think my least favorite was, this is a tough one. There's quite a few.
A lot of them sucked.
I honestly think Mildred.
Oh yeah, I could totally see that.
Mildred, or even Yoli.
Ooh, why Yoli? Because she went back and forth.
Yeah,
you don't like that she flip-flopped?
Okay, I honestly have so many strong opinions about like, well, strong, I have some weak opinions. I just like I don't really care, but I'm just like, I don't think Yoli cared about the person she was with. I think she just cared about being married and having kids. And like, she wasn't my least favorite. Like, I liked her up until a certain point, but at the same time I was like, she issued this ultimatum because she wants to be married, not because she like loves Mal. And no, but I think like most toxic were Mildred and Vanessa, maybe.
Oh, Vanessa. Oh my god, I can't believe I forgot Vanessa. She was like the center of the universe.
Yeah. And I would say, I don't want to say Aussie, because I think they just had like so many issues. Like Aussie was going through a lot of shit.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess same. I honestly though, between Tiff and Mildred, I don't like Tiff more than I don't like Mildred. Like, yeah, I know.
I'm sorry, what?
It's because of the dog. I really, that like changed the tempo of like how I saw Tiff.
Dude,
for like
Mildred
a long
fucking
time.
Threw a gate, like a baby gate. Mildred was arrested.
Yeah, I think
for like domestic violence.
No, I don't condone, but she wasn't like my least favorite. When I think about it, is Tiff. Like more because that's like the impression. Like once my opinion of them turned sour, I like couldn't see them anymore in this sort of like redeeming light. Like once they started going off on Sam about like that was not insane. Liking their dog enough, I was like, I literally didn't even hear the words that they were speaking for the rest of the show. Like I kind of tuned them out, honestly, because I was like, you're not a real character here. Like I don't know, I was sort of like I was sort of like, who cares, you know? Not that it's not like, not that you can't care, but it felt like such a stupid storyline, and they made it into this whole thing, and maybe that's like the producer's fault, but I was just sort of like, you never talk about anything of substance, sort of, you know? I was like, what are we even talking about anymore? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I can
really
see where you're
off
coming from. When I saw that whole dog fight, I was like, this is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. But honestly, to me, it read as like, this is Tiff's reaction, like their reaction to how Mildred would have come at them for a lot of things.
Oh, I think Mildred, like,
it was just like a trauma response.
Yeah.
Immediately they were triggered and thought like Sam was coming at them in the same way, when Sam was just setting boundaries.
Yeah.
And being like, no, I don't want this like 100-pound dog in my fucking bed. Like, fair.
I think Tiff, like, definitely around Mildred and because of Mildred was like weirder. Like, I think on their own they're not as bad as when they're around Mildred. But
I don't like love Tiff, but I don't hate Tiff.
Well, I don't hate Tiff, but they're my least favorite. I like hate Mildred. I'm like, you're weird and fucked up. Like,
okay,
go figure it out.
I can see the distinction.
Like for me, it's like, I can tell that some people are more fucked up than others, but they're not necessarily my like least favorite, because I sort of like don't even count them as, like, they have so many issues, sort of like Ozzy, where I'm like, I'm not even really have an opinion on you because you're just so far beyond like whatever. Yeah. But between everyone who is sort of like watchable, Tiff was the least watchable for me. I was like, I could not watch
that's
them.
fair. Like, in terms of
like,
TV, they were
TV
the
personality, like, how they interacted with the other characters. I was like, I can't watch you. Like, sorry, people, but they kind of become characters.
No, they do become characters.
I was like, I can't watch you do this. Yeah. And then my favorite was also Mal. Yeah.
I have to say, like, Lexi I really liked in the beginning, and I liked a little bit less at the end. But I do think they like really honed. I think that was probably a producer edit, because they really like went in on the Lexi hates Vanessa storyline.
They did. You know, unpopular opinion, I really like Ray. Like, I don't
I like Ray too.
I think Ray is great, and I also feel like Ray like did the show the way that like I might do the show almost. Maybe not exactly, but like I think she went into it pretty like, I don't know, like almost neutral, and then sort of like as people kept reacting to her more intensely, I think she reacted back more intensely. Like both Vanessa and Lexi. Like, I think as Vanessa picked up the interest and the chemistry and the flirting and whatever she was trying to do, I think Ray just sort of like met her there. And then I think as Lexi got more like intense about the whole Vanessa thing, like Ray also started like becoming more intense about it.
Yeah, but I felt bad for Ray, like with the way Lexi was going in on her. Like, Lexi was not giving any room for understanding how Ray like deals with conflict, or I don't know. It was like, you have to. Lexi seemed very one track minded in that she wanted Ray to react how she would have reacted, and if Ray didn't react that way or dealt with things differently, then that was a problem.
Which is why I think then Ray's whole thing was like, oh, I'm learning to have my own opinion, I'm learning to like figure out what I want and then take it back to the person, because I think Lexi was just so like, I'm driving this car and this life and this relationship, you know, which is then is so funny, because then her whole complaint is like, well, I don't want to be the only one doing this all the time, like I want someone to take care of me too. And it's like, girl, you don't let them, you know. Which I get to, but at the same time it's sort of like, I don't know, then you can't keep like being drawn towards people who like take more of a backseat, which is honestly what I found really refreshing with like Mal and Lexi. It felt like they were Capricorn Virgoing. But
did you want them to be together?
No,
like I thought they were more on a friendship level.
They
worked really well together.
Exactly. I didn't want them to like be together, but I liked the perspective that each person brought the other a little bit, or it felt like they brought maybe. Also, can I just say, I've never heard the word fingering more than in that one episode where Lexi's like ripping on Vanessa or whatever. Like, oh my god, get over it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
And the crazy thing to me is Lexi signed up for this,
Yes.
knew that they would be separate. They would
Literally.
be trying like out different couples.
Yeah.
The whole premise of the show is to get to know a new person.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sorry you got
Yeah.
upset when she did what you told her to do. Like, you probably forced her into this experiment. Ray said multiple times that she didn't want to do this. And now like you're getting upset.
I don't even fully like I lost my thought.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I don't remember, but it was like something like basically literally exactly what we said, and something along the lines of like when they no, I'm not gonna, you might have to cut this, sorry. It's fine. Gabby, cut. Great.
What was I even saying?
It's a good thing we named it Brain Frog. Yep.
Setting the bar low.
The bar exactly where it needs to be. Setting the bar exactly where we can meet it.
Maybe I will
Low.
leave this in.
And on that note, our ADHD superpowers are no, I'm kidding, but yeah, that show was crazy. I will say though, I loved the second half way more than I liked the first half. I didn't really like the first half that much, but
Yeah,
once we got past episode like 5 or 6, when they started getting into their like dramatic lesbian conversations, like the original partners ended up back together, those conversations, I could have watched that for hours. Gabby, like I can watch lesbians talk through a breakup for hours, like, because that's what you do. Like, I've never been in a lesbian breakup that's like been under like I don't even know, like 5 hours of talking.
Yeah,
like,
it's a long fucking time.
It's like a long talk, and you're doing circles around each other, and you're not saying like, you know, anything of substance after a certain point, but you just don't shut the fuck up. Like, they just keep going. Lexi and Ray looked like they'd been talking for like 72 hours straight.
Literally through the night into the next day.
They had like tear-soaked like skin.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, their eyes were tired. They were like, their voice was like cracking. I was like, go to bed.
But I feel so bad for the editors who had to sift through the amount of footage these lesbians probably gave them.
They need you on the next season.
No, I do not want that much work. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I think actually editing a Netflix show would be hell. Yeah. I also heard, so a lot of this stuff has been popping up on my TikTok of like the interviews with the people. I was almost going to say actors. The people where they apparently, like Xander was saying that they didn't get the cut of the show until 4 p.m.
before.
The day before the reunion.
So they literally were all super sleep deprived.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fucked.
And
I think Netflix is fucked.
Didn't have enough time to even process probably what happened. Like, I would watch that on like 2x speed, you know. Like, yeah, I think they were put in really like intense, stressful situations, and apparently they were supposed to get therapists and they didn't.
They got it in the second half of the show because I can't remember who advocated for it. It might have been Ray, but Ray mentioned that they got therapy because someone pushed for it in the second half because they were told that they were going to get it, but then they didn't.
I mean, thank God, because at that point also, like, especially when they do like the sit down talks at the dinner table with all of them, I was like,
crazy. Yeah.
You guys have way too much here to unpack.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why they spent like so much time talking after. But yeah, I found the second half way more engaging because I was like, I want to know. I want you guys to actually like talk about your problems, and I want to hear about them. You know? The first half felt very distracting from the issue.
Yeah. I don't know. You know, I liked Xander and Yoli.
Yeah.
But then it also frustrated me how I feel like Yoli was pretty upfront with Mal, which I liked.
Yeah.
But then also I found it annoying how Xander would go back to Vanessa and be like, I love you, nothing happened. Meanwhile, is like in love with Yoli.
You know what's crazy too? Every time they were sitting at that dinner table with the round table, Xander kept defending Vanessa.
I know.
Which I kind of admired and respected a little because I was like, oh, you are loyal. But then I was like, are you loyal to a fault? I don't know.
I think it was just honestly 4 years of being in a relationship with this person, knowing them from high school. There's so much history and baggage. You like know this person, but also this person has been emotionally manipulating you for years. You're gonna stand by them.
And it was crazy when Vanessa started sobbing when she found out that like Xander and Yoli.
I was like, this is your comeuppance. Like, you
literally
fucking thought this was gonna be a ride to fuck around and whatever.
Yeah, I don't even. What did she find out, that they fucked, or like that they were getting along, or that she chose Yoli or whatever? Like
that they were like in love and that they fucked multiple times. I think it was because, well, first she sobbed because she found out that they were having a good trial marriage.
Oh yeah.
And she was like, I can't believe you. Like, how could you do this to me? Meanwhile, at the beginning of the experiment, she was like, we both need to do our own things and like do what's best for us and explore these other options. And then when Xander actually did it, she was like what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
She was like sobbing. And you know what? Actually, in that sense, I'm like, Vanessa and Lexi are the same. Like, Lexi wants to be so mad at Vanessa, but they are literally the same. Like, you know, they both are angry at their partners for finding these other people that they click with. Bitch, like, that's what the show is. Like, I don't know. I was like, the same thing that you're mad at about Vanessa is like the same shit that you're now doing to Ray, that like she's doing to Xander and whatever. All lesbians are the fucking same. Like,
yeah.
And this is the worst show to put lesbians on because you guys are like so attached. You know, like this is like the worst case scenario. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, but then can we talk about the fucking proposal episode?
Oh, yeah.
I was shocked.
Yeah, me too. Actually.
I was shocked.
Yeah, me too.
At the fact that 4 out of 5 couples walked away engaged. I was like, crazy. Absolutely not. Should any of these couples be together?
They all broke up.
Except for Sam and Aussie. They're still together.
Well, they should have.
I know.
I don't know.
They should have rethought that a little bit.
I don't know. But good for them, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't think any of them were gonna last, to be honest. I don't think you really go through something like that and make it out stronger and better than ever. Like,
I know.
I think it just did what they kind of wanted it to do, which was like force them to reevaluate the relationship. And at that point, it's like you've almost like worsened your initial problems, so of course you're gonna break up. I don't know. Would you ever do something like that? Would you ever go on a show like that?
No. Are you kidding? I first of all, the premise of that show is insane. Why not just have a conversation with your partner and talk about what you want and maybe realize, hey, we're not on the same page. And maybe you should have figured out what page you were on and where you wanted to be earlier on in the relationship. And then also just reality TV in general is a big no. Like, true, I love consuming it. Yeah. Maybe a toxic trait on my behalf. No. But I would never, ever, ever, ever in a million years go on a show. Or a show like that. Like, no.
Yeah, the producers also just like kind of fuck with you a little. Yeah. Like, mentally, you know.
Yeah, and they write stories left and right. Like, they'll take what you say and spin it however they want. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I also was laughing so hard at the fucking host they chose, like the Amy Adams
Fingergate
ripoff. Oh my god, did she say that? Did she say Fingergate? I hate that they had a straight woman reunion host the show. Yeah. And they asked her like if she knew like what something was. Did they top or bottom or whatever? They said something.
Oh,
they
asked her some like
jargony. Yes. Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I know what that is. And then she kind of like went, and I was like, you couldn't have found anybody else. Like, who even is she? Also, sorry, to go back to Nick and Vanessa Lachey's like weird empire, because they created the ultimatum. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, where even are they? Like, what ivory castle are they? Like, it's just the premise of the show is insane to me. And then the fact that like they're running that and like Love is Blind 5 is going to come out soon is like, you guys shouldn't have even made it past like a second season. Respectfully, like,
need some serious therapy just to discuss the fact that they came up with these shows.
It's a crazy show, and especially after Love is Blind, I guess because this is all in the same universe. I feel like so many of the people who leave these shows, like Xander was talking about how like everyone is like really like in intense need of therapy.
So distracted by his face right now. He was like licking himself, and then he looked up like this.
He was like drunk. he's been going to work. I like haven't even been petting him because he's like literally cleaning his entire body right now. But yeah, I thought that the whole thing was like the fact that that guy Matt or whoever it was on Love Is Blind like the last season.
Oh, Matt and Colleen.
Oh no, not Matt and Colleen. The other guy.
In the most recent season.
Yeah, and he was just like sobbing. He was like, you know, this show really fucked me up or whatever. And then Xander was saying something kind of similar. She was like, you know, we all needed therapy and like shit. And I'm like, I actually think this is like getting like ethically concerning. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't think that they should continue making these shows,
But
and I probably won't watch them again.
Really, I definitely will. But you know, but I wish that they would be a little bit more responsible. I will. Yeah. I wasn't even planning on watching it. Like I watched it so late, and then I just watched it because my roommate's girlfriend was over and she was watching, and I was like, "Hey, I'll sit and watch this with you guys." And then I was hooked.
I watched it because I had COVID, and I was like, "What else is there to do?"
Yeah, that's true. Oh my God, I totally
forgot
you had COVID.
I know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was lesbians. Yeah. I don't know. Lesbian culture is really interesting to me. And when put on a show, it's almost like looking in a mirror a little too hard. I'm like, are we like this? And the answer is, yeah, we are. You know, and as removed as I want to be from it, like, I feel like I'm totally like in their world. Like, as much as I can acknowledge that it's like fucked up in some ways, I'm like, well, been there, done that. You know what I mean? Like, it's so unfortunately relatable in all these ways. Yeah. It's a crazy show. Anything else about Queer Ultimatum? Or
I don't think so.
Okay. I guess me neither. Yeah, I just wish them all the best. And Mal was my favorite.
Yeah, I think Mal was just so good at communicating.
Yeah,
and
Mal was also very like patient with Lexi and Yoli.
Yeah,
and kind of
so
everybody.
Patient with Yoli. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's Mel now?
I don't know, but
can they text me?
They're still friends with Lexi.
Oh.
Yeah, they hang out. Cool. They just went on vacation together. Cool. When I tell you Lexi's TikToks pop up on my For You page all the time.
Mine too. I didn't see that, but mine too all the time.
You know what? They're going to keep doing it because I'm fucking nosy. Yeah. And I keep watching them.
It's true. I get a lot of Ray's, but honestly, because I think Ray is hot, and I go and I watch Ray's like specifically. Every time it pops up, I'm like, oh, let's see what she's been up to in the last few days, and I like go and I watch. But that's just because I love a jock. Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about sex.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be.
Let's talk about sex.
Okay, I feel like ever since I turned 25, I am the hottest I've ever been. And I think that's literally just because I'm older and more confident and I don't care anymore. And I also wrote this down because I was thinking about it. Like, I gained a lot of weight in the last few years, like with COVID and just like staying in a lot and like, I don't know, hormones, whatever else. I just gained a lot of weight. But I still feel the hottest now, even though I'm like almost also like the heaviest now. And I was thinking about that because I was like, that's something that like 21-year-old me like wouldn't even know like how those two things could exist together, like grapple with or even understand. But I really think like none of this shit matters. Like nobody, or like sexiness or like hotness actually has like very little to do with your physical body. Yeah, there's like beauty standards or whatever, but outside of beauty standards, and especially like I feel like more in like queer like spaces where like people are a little bit more like progressive with their views on like body image, sex, sexuality, whatever, like it really doesn't matter the way that I at age 20 was like, you know, this is gonna be make or break. Yeah, I'm like literally having the most sex, the best sex, and like the most vulnerable sex now that I'm older, even if I have like all these other things that I would otherwise be more insecure about, or like what, like all the standard things like body weight, like hair, or like skill, or like length of duration that you do certain things or whatever, like all this bullshit stuff. I'm kind of like, not that it's bullshit like in and of itself, like I understand why I would be nervous about it, other people would be nervous, but I was just thinking about this because I was like, wow, all these things that I thought would cause me to be like more insecure, I literally don't even care about, and I feel like sexier now than I have before.
Yeah.
You know. Thank you.
Snaps.
Thank you.
Incredible.
And I guess I say that to also be like, it doesn't always have to go that way, but I hope that's like inspiring or hopeful for like other people, because sometimes I would hear other people say that, and even if it wasn't like relatable to me at that time, I think I was like, oh, I could totally see how you feel that way, because you're just like more confident as a person now that you've aged, and I feel like that just also happened to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think so too.
I think I kind of feel similarly in a different way. Like I think I was having like a lot of body dysmorphia while having sex, and I think just like adjusting the way I was having sex has helped a lot. Yeah, and just feeling like better about myself in general. And I think, yeah, I don't know, I'm being very vague. Sorry.
No, that's like literally it. I won't like, yeah, I can't even, I'm not even like the kind of person to like even elaborate on like what or how or whatever, but I guess I just mean like, I think it's crazy that there are like all these things. This is just like, sorry, now a wider conversation, but I think there are all these things that like get in the way of like pleasure or confidence or like enjoyment, and honestly that's just like what, like shame. But yeah, as much as possible that I feel like I've been around people and talking about things that are like trying to remove shame from the conversation, the more like I can literally just enjoy my life, like a meal, sex, a vacation, like resting on my day off, like all of these things I can actually like start to like them, because I'm not so much like as wrapped up in like what I should or shouldn't be doing. It's just sort of like, do I like it? Okay, let's figure, like, let's explore that. I think that's
so important, because shame is so pervasive.
Yeah.
And when it's like in your mind, it's not going to go away. I feel like it's so hard to grapple with shame, which is something that a lot of like people deal when they're younger, and even like into our late 20s too. Like I still deal with shit all the time. But it's so hard because it like gets in there and you can't think of anything else, and it's so overwhelming and so all encompassing. So it's all you're thinking about, and especially with sex, like that makes it even more difficult, because you're just constantly like overthinking yourself, your body, your skill level, your like everything, how you feel in your body, and how that affects like how other people perceive you, like if you're letting other people perceptions of you or how you think they're thinking of you dictate like how you're, I don't know what I'm saying.
No, it's true. It's like literally shame is the killer of pleasure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like part of like even if I'm not quote unquote like exactly where I want to be, or I figured every single thing out, like I think there is something like reassuring about just like moving in the right direction, or like quote unquote right direction, like something that feels better for you. Like it's not that you have to like, it's not that like you're either having like really bad sex or really good sex. I feel like most people are just like incrementally working towards what they like. Sometimes I also do feel like in queer, like in the queer world, there's sometimes like a pressure also, or this expectation
to be good,
and also like to be kind of like freaky or whatever, like to be very well versed in like sex, like BDSM, like kink, that like all this shit that is sort of like, yeah, definitely more wrapped up in like queer circles and like interesting and, you know, can be fun and all these things. But I think when I was younger, I think I was a lot more like, whoa, like that's like sex is a whole world and it can be so intense in all these ways that I like don't even know how to like touch with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. But then you kind of just realize like, no, these are like everyday normal people who are like doing this stuff, thinking about this stuff. Like it's not that you have to be some like I don't know,
Yeah.
sex fiend, right? Like,
Yeah.
but that's what, like, I think the world makes you think, like, you're either like cute and small and shy and vanilla, or you're like really intense and hardcore and whatever. But it's more like these things are accessible to everybody, like, you know.
So a spectrum, and you can go back and forth on it.
Exactly.
I think when you're younger, and especially when you're younger and realizing you're queer, or maybe you've already like known for a long time, but there's always a certain pressure of, especially within like lesbian like non-men sex conversations, it's like non-men have really good sex, you know, and so there's that pressure to be good. But as you get older, it's kind of like, no, it's not necessarily about being good. You're not going to be good your first time having sex with someone. It's about like listening to their body. Like you might be, but I think as you get older, you also get better to like listening to what the person wants and likes, and like kind of feeling it out with them, and also communicating to that person what you like and don't like, and what they like and don't like, and they'll tell you that, and that makes it so much easier to have that good sex. But I feel like before you step into that world, or like maybe you already have, but you're feeling like insecure, you got this like idea in your head that you have to be perfect on the first go, it's hard to then like get to or realize, no, it's actually about just talking to the person and communicating.
Totally. And I so get what you mean of like, it's like there's that stereotype of like, well, lesbians have the best sex ever, and it's like not always, unfortunately, you know, as some of us have discovered the hard way. Like, you know, it's just not. And honestly, I'm just gonna I won't obviously like reveal any information, but that girl that I slept with in New York, when she was like, oh yeah, it's kind of frustrating that like you can't come or whatever, I was like, at your big age, she's like fully like 28 this year, and I remember being like, you're literally older than me, you should at this point have had more sex than me, like, you know, you're like supposed to be more mature, you're supposed to be more like, I don't know. I was like, haven't you figured this shit out by now? Like, haven't you picked up on this? Like, I feel like it's so annoying when like lesbians like pat themselves on the back for like being good at sex just automatically because they like sleep with other women.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you actually still need like grace and tact and like charisma and like something. Like, you can't just like roll up in here, say that you fucked a bunch of women and have that be enough. Like, you have to treat people with like some sort of respect, honestly. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, you would think that that's like a thing that like only a straight man would say, but you know, queer people are very capable of it too. And I think there's a lot that they actually get away with, especially like mask lesbians. Honestly, like a lot of them are like more like fuckboy, like hey mama's mask lesbians, who are like, who really lean into this sort of like more intense like masculinity that can sometimes feel performative, honestly. Like,
can we, not to segue us, but can we talk a little bit about mask lesbians? It's frustrating to me how mask lesbians perform heteronormativity. Like, why are you like showing off and like competing with like these other masks? Like, I don't know, it just reads so straight to me.
It is,
and it feels so like dehumanizing.
It does make it feel like very like, you know, I love like mask femme dynamics. I think they can be so like interesting and hot and cool, and like they have such a history, but at the same time, like I think like when it's just mimicking or copying like what men do, it's like, you're not gonna pick me up like that. I don't know, like that's not gonna work for you. And then it puts you in this place where, sorry, he looks so precious right now. His paws are crossed like this.
What a little gentleman.
I can't even, I want to let him,
he's so precious.
Anyways, I do think it like puts you in this place where you are now like in the same kind of power dynamic that you basically would have been if you were with a man. Obviously not exactly, but like it's like, why recreate that? Like, why even go back into that world when like that's the thing that we all identified we don't want to be a part of. But I do think it's really affirming for a lot of them to like, a lot of mass lesbians to be like, I don't know, macho, or like act more like alpha male or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because then those are the same people who like in bed are like big baby bottoms and they just like want to be taken care of, like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that, but then don't act like you're so like whatever.
Yeah.
Like big and bad in the outside world. I don't know.
And then make someone else feel bad like about themselves or something. Like,
yeah, totally.
I don't know. It's so easy to be respectful and realize that maybe not like whatever's going on in someone else's life is not necessarily a reflection on you, and just like be gentle with them.
Yeah. Be gentle, man. I feel like that's like what I love the most sometimes about like lesbian relationships or like queer relationships is like the actual like it doesn't even have to necessarily be gentleness, but like meet me in my reality sort of like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I really appreciate it. And I think like what I like about queerness is that it's sort of like see the world how I see it. And then sometimes when I come across like queer people like this, I'm like, oh, like you are queer, but you're not in a queer world. Like you don't live, you don't see the world how I see it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You want to do ADHD?
Sure.
Pros? Do you have any?
I think there are many pros to ADHD. I think honestly like hyperfixation for me is one of them.
Whoa, say more. That's so interesting.
I mean, I know it can be like it can be problematic because it's like all you focus on, but I get so much shit done.
It's true.
So I'm just like, no, I'm in and I love this thing and I'm gonna figure it out.
How long do your hyperfixations last?
It depends. I think like as a kid, way longer now because I didn't really like. I couldn't like comprehend that you were hyperfixating on something.
That must be so crazy as a kid, just being like nothing else matters.
Nothing
but this
matters.
Like one box set of DVDs or whatever the fuck you're on. Like.
No, like I remember I was obsessed with Harry Potter.
Oh yeah.
It was like a 10-year long hyperfixation. No, but I remember one point I read the books from like start to end. Yeah. End to start. Start to end.
Gabby. No.
Like I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3,
and
2,
then back
1.
again? Like non-stop back to back? That was a hyperfixation.
Yeah.
For real.
And I don't think I've had something like that since then because honestly, like now that I'm an adult, I'm like
you don't have the time.
I don't have the time to do that. To commit to that? No, I don't have the time.
See, and but this is the difference between just being like hee hee ha ha, like I love the Harry Potter books and I have ADHD. Like, you know, I know people who like the books. I don't know anybody who would have read them like that. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a little crazy.
But apt.
Yeah.
Oh.
And now it's just embarrassing.
You know, I wonder sometimes, this is like when they say that like little girls, quote unquote, like whatever, like aren't coded for ADHD. Like, I feel like that's such an obvious thing. Like, not that people necessarily would have known that you did that.
Yeah.
But there's so
my parents knew.
Oh,
my parents knew.
Okay, that's
like, this was not. They were like, Gabby, can you get your head out of this fucking book? And I'd be like, like just reading. Didn't even hear.
Like teachers will like see little boys in class do that and they'll be like, let's get you tested for everything under the sun.
Yeah. And then they see like little girls and then they're like, oh,
that's sweet.
What a smart little reader.
Bookish. Yeah. I know. Actually, yeah, I think about that a lot. Like so much of the shit that like as a kid went undetected just because you were like, oh, cute little good kid or whatever. Yeah. But it's like, no, dude.
Yeah.
I've got problems.
Yeah. Yeah. But now that I'm like older, sometimes I like the hyperfixation phases because I'm not so scared of like being bad at things, which is something that I deal with a lot just in my regular life. But when I like zone in on something, I'm like, I know I'm going to do this. Yeah. But I don't think I've like really hyperfixated on something in like a while.
I actually, on hyperfixation, I really don't mind and almost appreciate in my adult life being hyperfixated on certain foods, because
right.
then I'm just like, my life is easier. I get the same grocery order like 6 months straight in a row. I make the same meal and I'm happy with that.
I agree.
You know, I don't get bored of it.
Breakfast phases.
Yeah.
Like right now I'm in my eggs and toast phase.
Nice.
And like I would say I go through like 3-month stints, maybe less. I just went through a rice cake and peanut butter phase, but then I switched. Instead of eating that for breakfast, I'm now eating it for after dinner. So like it's not like I got rid of it, but I'm like, it's still there. I just switched it out.
You know, when you know your life is like kind of in a precarious place when you're in your bagel phase. When I'm in my bagel phase, like, mental health is in the gutter. Not that like I won't eat a bagel otherwise, like I'll eat a bagel like once in a while here and there, but when bagels are like all I'm eating,
right,
rough.
I can't say bagels do that for me, but you know what I can't eat anymore?
What?
Avocado toast.
Oh yeah,
I ate it way too much. And I tried like a couple weeks ago and I was like, I'm gonna throw up.
That one's hard because of the texture. The texture is, you have to be really into it.
But I also ate it every single day for a year.
Oh, so much. That's crazy. I mean, I definitely did that for a while.
Yeah, but
I don't
with
really
an egg on top, but still.
Oh,
yeah, that makes it better.
That's like pretty.
Yeah, that's
yummy.
That's yummy, but I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. I guess you're in your egg phase now too, so that's the only redeeming thing about that meal.
Yeah.
Yeah, hyperfixation meals are convenient, honestly, just for the sake of like cooking and cleaning and ordering. Like that, when you realize you really have to do that 3 times a day for the rest of your life, you're like, whatever hacks the system, I'll take it. Like,
yeah,
however we get there is however we get there. Yeah.
What pros do you have?
I think honestly the biggest one for me is like creativity and adaptability. Like, I think like there's just something about ADHD that makes you like, it comes with like impulsivity and maybe like some recklessness, disorganization, but that happening makes you highly adaptive, really good at thinking on your feet, and like just more creative in general, I find, because you're kind of like having to clean up the mess of like what the trouble causes you in the first place, that you develop all these like problem solving skills that I think a lot of people honestly don't have. Or I haven't come across as many people that I feel like are as confident about like thinking on the spot, really creative problem solving, like in out of the box ways. Like, I feel like I've come across more people in the world who are like, their skills are in systems and like, I don't know, like order and like everything that ADHD doesn't like fucks you up around, that I've always been like, oh my God, I've always wanted to be so really like, you know, good with time management and on top of my shit. And like, I wish that like a budget worked for me, or like a calendar worked for me, or all this stuff that works for other people, and they're really great with that. But then I can tell that when things go wrong or like plans change, those people are not as flexible, or it like bothers them more when things like are disrupted, where I'm like, that's my literal everyday life, where like I disrupt my own systems, you know, like I cause my own problems. And so I'm so used to like being flexible and fixing things as soon as I fuck them up, sort of, that I feel like other people, when things go wrong, they get like way more stressed out, and like they're less able to, I don't know, find a way out because they're just like stressed. Whereas for me, it's like that stress just comes up all the time, so I have to deal with it all the time. I don't know if
I relate to that. I hate change.
Yeah.
Or I hate like,
I mean, I don't love it, but I think I'm more adaptable than other people I've met.
I think I'm adaptable like when things happen to me, but if like someone were like, let's change your like living space, or something like that, like I have things set up the way I have them set up, and even if it's not like the most efficient way to have things set up, and someone's like, let's change it so that it's more efficient, my brain immediately goes, no, what the fuck are you doing?
I think I feel the same about my space.
Oh yeah.
But in like life, I mean, like if there's like relational things going on, or like problems and like situations, I feel like I'm better with that. But yeah, my space is adaptable,
like with like people.
But I'm like, I'm the same. I'm like, don't touch my like space and my things, and like everything is like the way that I want it to be, even if it's not the most efficient.
Like the lack of organization is part of the organization.
Sort of. It's kind of like when you know where everything is, and that's good enough. Like you don't need other people to like understand it. But relationally, I feel like I'm a lot more adaptable, because I just kind of have to be. I don't know. I don't know. And honestly, I know this is not everyone's favorite, but like impulsivity within the right amount, I think is actually just like going for it in a healthy way. Like I think as long as it's not like ruining your life, I actually don't mind being like a little bit more of an impulsive person, because I think I'm sort of also like anxious in my head, that the impulsivity almost like makes me more actionable than I would be without it. Like I think I'd be too scared to do anything if I didn't have a little bit of impulsivity. You know, I don't know.
I think the creativity aspect of it is really nice too. Like I find I'm always reaching for something new and creative.
You are really excited by new projects. I think.
I do really. I get. But I think that's also part of my like hyperfixation habits too. Like I'll start something and then I'll get like halfway through and then I'll be like, I'll drop it for something new, which I'm trying to complete things. But I get like distracted by other things. I'm like, oh, shiny.
But then you get to do all these cool new things. I don't know. It's sort of, that's the thing. Like I feel like everything that ADHD takes away from you, it gives you something else. But like it's up to you to like sustain it. It just, that's the hard part. But I think it's like very enriching to jump around and see a bunch of things and talk to a bunch of different people and gain all these insights. Like it's almost the restlessness that makes you like, oh, I need more, I need stimulation. But then like, that stimulation is not nothing, right? Like you do learn something, connect with somebody, like create this sort of like new corner of the world for yourself. And even if you abandon it, like you saw a slice of it, I feel like ADHD is very much like jack of all trades, master of none, but like you need someone to be the jack of all trades,
That's true.
There's like a perspective that gives that mastery can't. But sometimes I feel guilty about that, because I'm like, there are people who like really value and respect mastery, and I'm just not, I don't value it as much. Like I like it in other people, but I'm never like, I want to be the best at this. I'm sort of like, I just want to be kind of good at everything. I don't know.
I find it so interesting because I would want to be the master of many things. I want to be the best at everything that I try.
But then
when I'm like average, I know. But when I'm like average, I'm like, what's wrong with me? But it's fine. There's nothing wrong with being like average or even bad at things. Like I don't know, I feel like I should get, like, as kids you're told like it's okay to fail because you're learning, you're growing. Like that's why kids like are so adaptable when parents put them in like piano lessons, different sports, or like like kids just throw themselves into these things with no fear of like being bad at that. And then as an adult you're like told you're already set in like career or like life choices or I don't know, everything that you've done up until this point, you've like established yourself. So then to want to try something new is so scary, because you're gonna have to really start from scratch, and you're gonna have to reconcile with the fact that you are gonna be bad at that, and it's
scary. But I think ADHD like helps you jump over that a little.
That's true.
Like you just are so like, oh my god, new shiny thing.
That's how I feel about sewing.
Oh,
like, I made a terrible pair of pants. There's literally a hole in the zipper.
Okay, that's kind of funny. But I'm like, I made a pair of pants. And you can fix this.
And I'm going to make another pair of pants, and they're going to be better than the other ones.
Exactly. Like, it takes away that sort of, like, like it helps you start, even though I know ADHD
Yeah.
can also be the reason why you don't start certain things.
Yeah.
For things that you like,
Yeah.
it really pushes you to like get into it.
Yeah.
Which is why then everyone has these like quote unquote failed like 7 side projects, but it's like, okay, well, is it failed, or did I start the beginning of a journey that I decided was not for me right
true,
now?
Who's
like
to say you won't pick that back up in
saying.
like 3 years
Yeah.
or a month
and
or whatever?
now I know a little bit about that thing, you know. Like it's I have a really hard time seeing it as like failure because I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I just explored something that like is new for me, you know. Yeah, ADHD's crazy, man. I also feel like really like I can tell that I'm unmedicated now. Like I can really tell that I'm off that Vyvanse, because when I was on Vyvanse, even though like maybe my daily operations weren't that different, I think my brain did feel a little different. I don't know, more organized. I feel like I ramble a lot more now. A lot more all over the place, but I also like have created other systems to help. I don't know.
Yeah.
You're off too, yeah?
Yeah, but I don't think I was on Vyvanse long enough to be able to really like
Feel the effect.
Yeah.
I definitely felt it for a while. Like I felt sharper. I felt more focused. I felt more awake even. But all the other weird shit that like with the eating and sleeping kind of fucked me up in other ways. So like even the benefits I couldn't really fully reap because I was like fucked up in this other way. Now I feel like because I'm off medication, I've literally just had to like choose things and like build a routine of the only things I'm willing to do. Like there's no other way. Like I can only go after jobs I'd actually do. The only reason I'm going back to school is because like I'm going to art therapy school.
Yay!
The only way I can like do school is because like I know it's going to be arts and crafts all day long, you know? Like the only way I can do my errands is because I want it, like, I don't know, which is maybe like really childish in some ways. And sometimes I get self-conscious about it because I'm like, whoa, like people like are actually doing, like they're fulfilling their responsibilities even if they don't want to do them, which most of us, we don't want to do them. And part of me is like, ugh, like,
but people should take a little bit of like a leaf out of your book a little bit more. Maybe. Like people should be pursuing the things that they want to be doing. Yeah. And I know that's not feasible for everybody. Sure. And obviously like living costs come into play and whatever, like life is getting in the way or whatever. But I think if you have the means to, and you're unhappy with what you're doing, like why not?
I agree. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I fully did it. And honestly, like for me at a certain point, like when I left my job in March, it felt like there was just no other option. I was like, I did it with the medication. I did it with the support. I tried to do it by like reframing the job or like doing other things or whatever. And then at a certain point I was like, dude, like you cannot like force, like you can't do this with sheer willpower, you know? And I really have stopped trying to do things with just sheer willpower because they just don't get done, honestly. And like even with my admin tasks, like I've started, like I'll create a system now where like I have a friend who's in school right now and he lives really close to me, so we'll go and like study together or like work together like once a week. And it'll be like usually early on in the week when you're like figuring out your shit and like everything you need to do and you're planning. And I did a session with him yesterday just for like 3.5 hours. Everything I've needed to do in the last 2 months I got done.
Wow.
You know? Yeah. It's sort of just because like I had another person there and like he also has ADHD and it was like body doubling and everything. And so it's like I've had to just rely on new systems because I don't have these other like crutches. I'd like to also make it clear that I don't think medication is a crutch. It's just like for me it was. I don't know. Do you think you'll always have ADHD, or do you think like you'll hit the age where you won't feel it anymore, or like just master it enough?
I hope so. Yeah, I feel so much more regulated than I did even like 6 months ago.
That's great.
I don't really deal with like a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with like losing things, not being able to like stick to certain things. Yeah, I feel just like a lot better, but it also could be weather related. Like I find like when I'm in a worse mental state, it gets so much worse.
It's true.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it, but also in the summer having more like hours It feels like
it feels
in
the
the
days
day
are longer and I have more time to complete all the things that I need to finish.
That's huge, because
Yeah.
in the winter I will feel really unmotivated once like 4 or 5 hits. It gets
Yeah.
dark and I'm like, whoa, I haven't done anything and the day is over.
Yeah.
Now I'll like start my day, like we sat down at work yesterday at 5 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
but like I was
And
so
you had
productive.
4 hours. Yeah. Yeah.
Because it was light outside and then it was light on my way home,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was so like motivating. Actually,
Yeah.
I've really never thought about it like that. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Like
Should we
when
move
I
to
feel
fucking California, like
I know.
I don't know.
When I feel mentally stressed,
Yeah,
it acts up, you know, like I
totally.
obviously when I'm mentally stressed, like
Mhm.
everything that is negative about ADHD
Mm.
comes up so much stronger
True.
just because I feel so scatterbrained,
Mm-hmm.
and I am.
Mm-hmm.
So it just it makes it
Mhm.
like more difficult.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
But yeah.
I'll say though, even on my worst days, sometimes it's like reassuring to know that like that's what it is, you know,
Mhm.
because I think like the world can sometimes make you feel, especially like social media and whatever, like you can feel so like you're comparing yourself a lot and you just can't do things as well as other people or what the expectation is or something.
Yeah.
I feel like ever since I got diagnosed, not that you even need to be formally diagnosed, but ever since I felt like, oh, this is what it is,
Yeah.
a lot of that like shame that we were talking about earlier, I feel like melted away, where I was like, oh, it's not like I'm the problem, you know? So even when it's like really bad, I still think I take like one of the pros of like knowing what it is like I feel like I take a lot of comfort.
Yeah. It's like a part of you. It's
Yeah.
not something that you have control over.
And it's not something I have to like fight.
Yeah.
You know, it's something I like work with or figure out or whatever.
Yeah.
But
I also feel like actively fighting it makes it worse.
yeah, it's true. Yeah. Exactly. Like that's what I mean. Also about like the willpower thing. Like I feel like every time I've been like, no, like get it together, like push
Mhm.
through willpower.
It doesn't
Like
work.
it just doesn't. That doesn't work. Like
Yeah.
it's just not. You know, that's not who I am. That's not how my brain works. And actually, the biggest thing that's been liberating about this is like I've completely given up on a 9 to 5 schedule.
Mhm.
I don't wake up before noon. It's who I am. Like, and I've given up on trying to like wake up before then.
Yeah.
I like feel bad about myself, you know?
Yeah.
I've literally like gone after jobs with like weird schedules so that they'd need me like late at night or in the afternoon or like anytime other than the morning, right? I chose a program that like the class doesn't even start till 1:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Like I was just, and not that you always get that lucky, like I think I kind of got lucky by finding these things that like accommodate my schedule, but I really was like, dude, if it's just not who you are, it's not who you are. Like
Yeah.
let it go.
You also weren't
know.
settling. Like you
Yeah,
were
yeah.
looking for the right opportunity.
Yeah.
And it's there.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. Yeah. And it's, I feel very like lucky to even be able to like find any of these things or do any of these things. But I think if you can, oh my God, just do it. Like, just, I feel like, yeah, we need to release some of this like shame and stigma and like what you should be doing or what you shouldn't. Yeah. It'd be great if I could wake up early and be one of those people. I'd probably be better for my health, my sleep, my everything. I hope one day I get there, but I'm not there. And like, I'm not going to let it kill me, you know? Like at a certain point, I think you just have to be like, you are the way you are. That's okay. I have this quote on my like wall that I really like that my friend is like on this card that she gave me once, and it was like, love yourself no matter who you really are. And I really like that because it's like not just like, oh, love yourself no matter who you are, but it's like no matter who you really are. Like only you know who you really are.
Yeah.
And even the shit that you think is like bad or wrong, like just embrace it, because
Yes.
who cares if you can't live with yourself? Like,
How in the hell are you going to live with somebody else?
yeah, no, it's so true.
Let's bring
It's
RuPaul's
so
Drag
true.
Race into the mix.
I feel like, and maybe I'll have this be my last thought here, but I feel like I sometimes am incapable of like loving other people in relationships because of how I can't love myself.
Incapable or
Like incapable,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, incapable of like, I can't like love them as hard as I want to, maybe because I can't like love myself as hard, and like the things that I judge myself for, like shame myself for, are like the same things that I like judge and shame.
this is a really
myself
full
for.
circle moment. This is bringing us back to the previous topic about shame.
No,
Even though
it
like
is.
this is like a different application of it, but it's so true. I think shame is so present in our lives, and because society, like, as a whole, is just so judgmental, and everybody is forced to live in these certain ways and check off these little boxes of like life accomplishments and do the standard. Whenever you deviate from that, it's so hard to not feel like the guilt and weight of that, and unless you're successful in that deviation, then people will, or at least it feels like people will hold that over you, or like look down on you for that. And it's hard to then not take that criticism and like internalize it.
The internalization thing is huge. Of like, I don't know, I feel like you really have to learn to like be at peace with yourself, not just for yourself, but how you relate with others, because of that same thing. Like, if you feel at peace with yourself, you're not thinking so much about like what other people think or like what they project onto you. You're not internalizing that as much, and then you're not putting it on other people. Right? Like, it almost like, I think of it as like this transient thing that like passes through you, of like, I can feel insecure and ashamed and like worried for like a moment, or like in that moment, but it has to like come through me, pass through me, and the problem is like when it gets like stuck in you. Whoa, that's crazy. But I that actually goes back to also the sex and sexuality thing of like, I think the more, or like the less shame that I have around myself, then again, like, just like the more easily everything happens, like, I don't know, it's such a killer of pleasure. Honestly, like, you know, there's that quote that's like, the opposite of pleasure isn't pain, it's like disconnection. And I think that's so true. And like, shame really disconnects you. Like, it makes you just like push people away and isolate yourself and think they have the worst intentions, and then now you have the worst intentions, and it's just so I don't know how we rid ourselves of it, but I hope we get there as a collective, you know? Do you want to just wrap up with our song and then call it?
Let's wrap up. Here, I'll go pee after.
We'll do just a song
of the week.
Do you want to go first? Do you know yours? Oh, yeah, I guess your phone is there.
I think off the top of my head, I can think of like a couple songs that I've been listening to lately. I really like Rush by Troye Sivan.
I was gonna say that one too. That one's really good.
It's really good. Have you seen the music video?
No.
Oh,
I'll watch it.
Iconic.
Really?
Like, I think it's really well directed.
Cool.
And just really like hot and
gay.
And gay.
Yeah.
So I think, I really like that song.
I love that he literally just wrote a song about poppers.
I know.
So like, that's what I want from the gay community personally.
So I think that's my song of the week.
Cool. I think mine is, I got a few, but I'll do that song that's really big on TikTok right now, You Wish by Flyana Boss. It's like, hello Christ, I'm about to sin again.
Oh yes.
Cinnamon. But I actually like when that, I need to learn their names, but when that second girl, because they're a duo, she comes in right after, and I like her verse even better. I'll play it for you later, but it was on TikTok like all the time, because you know, it's the video of like them, they like run through whatever, and then it got stuck in my head, and I was like, I'll just listen to the song, and the actual, like, the whole song is really good, so I really like them. And they also have this other song called Mango Bananas or something that I really like. I just really like them together, like the duo. I like that they're a duo. I like that they're kind of like a rap duo. I like that they're girls, you know. It feels very like cool. I like them. And usually TikTok songs aren't that good, but their song is actually really good. Okay. Thanks for joining us.
Bye.